by Guido's two henchmen. In reality, this involved Larry, as he was known to his friends and colleagues, lunging with his gilded ornamental steel-propped dagger at John, who was being held by Joseph and Ludwig. As the scene was played at 12:30 p.m., Tibbet struck out at Gurney and missed, as was intended. Let me be clear about this. It was intended that Guido kill the father. But since this was representation and not life, it was not intended for Tibbet, playing Guido, to actually kill Gurney, playing the father, in order for him to kill him in the opera. So when Tibbet missed Gurney, this would have been perceived by the audience as a fatal blow. And there was an audience of sorts at this rehearsal. At least 100 members of the cast were present, along with 75 musicians in the orchestra pit. Thus, on this 41st repetition of the scene of the murder of the father, all would appear to have proceeded as intended. Guido killed the father, but Tibbet appropriately missed with the blow and averted the actual killing of Gurney. What did not proceed as planned on that Tuesday afternoon was that Joseph Sterzini, in the guise of playing one of the bandits, unaccountably held up his hand in the path of the steel dagger that Tibbet was wielding so as to miss Gurney. Sterzini's hand, therefore, was brought up in the path of the descending weapon. Despite the dull blade, a flesh wound was opened in Sterzini's hand, approximately 2.5 inches long. It ran from the left wrist up to a point between the thumb and forefinger. And this injury corresponds exactly in the system concocted by a different Guido called the Guidonian hand, which singers use to learn notes. In this situation, that wound kills Joseph Sterzini. In the process, we double back and realize that Browning's The Ring in the Book was based on real trial that he found in a dusty bin in Florence, and that his poem fictionalized an actual murder trial, and that then the opera is based on, if you will, a real fictitious discourse. So at the end, when Tibbet's career in effect dies and the narrator is summarizing all the events, where Tibbet has to flash back and forth from playing the Guido the rogue to the father in Traviata, so it's kind of a schizophrenic switch back and forth, to the realization that Tibbet's father had actually been a sheriff who had been murdered. So that Tibbet was now a father committing murder in a way that his own father had been committed. At the end, the narrator comes back in and says, Lawrence Tibbet lived a renowned and distinguished life and brought great pleasure to millions of people. This story of one facet of his life, one mere aspect of his long career, becomes a fiction. It becomes my story because it makes of that fragmentary part a whole, a theme, an encompassing unity. I thought it would all be intriguing, pleasurable, exotic, appropriate material to control and arrange into a story. But while writing this story, I have twice cut my left hand with stiletto-like knives that I had wielded before countless times preparing food without mishap. I have even noticed that Lawrence Tibbet, the paternal figure in the story, was born on November 16th, my own father's birthday. What does it mean to play a game, to represent, to tell a story, to write? What does it mean for me? When is the fiction felt? That other Guido of Arezzo, the inventor of the Guidonian hand, wrote about 1025. In our times, of all men, singers are the most foolish. For in any art, those things which we know of ourselves are much more numerous than those which we learn from a master. Singers, all artists, creators, wearers of masks, writers. Am I yet another fool? I know not whether this, all of this, be dream or reality. I am writ by the hand of Guido. And let me see.